Hello there, I'm Nigel Mill, and in this video I want to correct myself. I think I left uh, some misunderstandings. I think I left some in my Elden Ring review, and it is the middle of the day, as you can see behind me, and there are people speaking outside my room, so to not catch their voices, this mic is right here with me. So I'm gonna keep it this short, short if I can, and I'm going to elaborate on the story. I'm not using my green screen because, as I said, my usual setup will not work with people talking outside of my room. It's the middle of the day and this house gets a lot of activity. So, anyways, on my Elden Ring review, I bitched and moaned about the story. And in this video, I want to correct it. So, or correct some things about it. About the interpretation that I might have given you that would have been wrong. Or misadvertised or incorrect in a or incomplete in a way, right? I'm on my second playthrough of Elden Ring. I did the exact same thing as my first gameplay. I went around the world just exploring all the dungeons, all the items I can get. I discovered quite a bunch of things that I left before, and I was surprised at the amount of things that I left. But it was not that many things. Of course, I'm at the mountaintops of giants now. I've already done the Volcano Manor quest, or at least the red letter of it. And yeah, I'm still playing. So, in this video I want to correct myself from the review video that I had some time ago in my channel right now. It's very lengthy, it's about 2 hours. So if you want my opinions of it, well, you're free to watch it, but I want to correct myself in one thing. The story of Elden Ring. I give it a pretty harsh negative on my review, but now I realize that it was my criticism was incomplete, because when I did my review, I just finished the game. You know, uh, when I already finished the game at episode 50 whatever, uh, I immediately went to modify my notes that I have taken for the game for the review, but I didn't modify that much, and I left a critical thing about the story off. And I just realized it when, you know, I'm on my second playthrough and I've kinda just been delving myself in item descriptions, armament description, incantation description, sorcery description. Every item description that I can get my hands on, I read. And also adding up to that, and the consequence in why I am doing this video, it's because I just saw a video that came out, I guess today or yesterday, called Elden Ring's Lore Explained by Vati Vigia. I gotta shout out that channel because, wow, it's a deep story, and that's a deep video. In just 30 minutes, I understood the whole or majority of the story. I understood in 30 minutes what I could not understand in 180 hours of Elden Ring. gameplay. And I'm going to tell you my correction of it, of my review of my story section, specifically the story. So, in the review I said something like, the story is not bad. It has some uniqueness, it has some wonder, but it's buried so deep that you can't find it normally. So I want to correct myself on that part. So the story of Elden Ring, after watching that video and after my second playthrough and kind of understanding more about the lore, about the item descriptions, about Marika, about Radagon, about Rani, about God, the God lineage, every single little thing that I could snatch on my New Game Plus, I tried to hold on to it, but it was the video made by Vatividia that actually clicked on me. So because he's done a lot of research, and I really appreciate that, because it made me understand and have more admiration for Elden Ring, even though I hate it, but I love it at the same time. So here is my correction that I want to make on the story, right? So it is very, very, very deep. It is very, very, very in there. So, but I still stand by my final score of 8 out of 10 for this game, because I am not giving credit to From Software for burying the story so deep that you leave the player out of it for the majority of the game, or the entirety of the game in most cases, and at the same time not explaining the very essential, must need to know things that come with explaining the story, explaining the world and how it becomes the way it is. I'm not giving a single point to From Software by my correction. No, I'm correcting. I'm trying to separate two things: the story part of my review and the lore of the game, the world building of the game, you might say. So what I wanted to correct is the first one is still the same. It's still a negative in my review, in my stance. It's still a negative. From Software does not explain the story whatsoever. It doesn't. They don't need to explain every single goddamn thing of the game, of the story, of the characters, of the lore. They don't have to. It's good to have some mystery in your, depending on what your game is, what your book is about, what your literature is, what your novel is, what your TV show is. Have some mystery in it and let the viewers or the players decide for themselves the story and discern it and piece together some parts of it. But the thing is that there's many, 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 many pieces of the lore in Elden Ring that is scattered everywhere in item descriptions, finger maidens, the ever so illustrious Melina, who only appears at some points in the story and very specific places in the Marika churches all around the world. How was I supposed to know that, to visit every single church to make her appear and whatever? So the story is so vague, so diluted, and so buried that it for the most part it doesn't make sense unless you do one of two things. One, which Vatividia did, was research the hell out of the lore, the world, the characters. What the hell is the Elden Ring? Who is Marika? Who is the what is the Golden Order? What is the Order? What are the stars related to the world? Have to do with, you know, Rani and the Elden Ring and whatever. What does the Elden Beast have to do with the greater will and all that stuff, right? You can research all of it and it will take you so much time to do. Or, like me, you just watch another person from another source. Then that is not the game, an external source. So that's what I did. The second one. I mean, I did part of the first one, but the second one was where I truly got a grasp of the story of Elden Ring. And I gotta say, how From Software explained and introduced their story to the player was not good at all. It did not make any goddamn sense at the beginning. It did not make any goddamn sense at the end. Unless you were like investigating and dissecting every single damn dialogue that you got in the game, and then you somehow pieced all of it together and marks and, you know, draw some lines like the polices do to find the criminal and all that stuff in the shows. Remember, you know, the red lines and putting a pin on it and then connecting it to others. You can do all of that. Or From Software needed to make a better effort and a better idea, a better deliverance method to the story than what they did. So the story and how it is explained is still a negative. Now the second thing that I wanted to add on my review, which I am correcting and separating from, you know, the story and how it was told, is there is a lot of lore, and that is a positive. There is a lot of world building. There is a lot of story. There is a lot of character descriptions. You know, the demigods, their children, Radagon's children, Godfrey's children, Marika's children, and, you know, the death root and how it became, and Ronnie and Blythe, and what's their importance with being a shadow of Blythe, and then what's the importance of being Malekith, which was directly the connection of Queen Marika. So all of that flew by my head when I first played the game. But what I am saying is that there is a lot more stuff in the lore of the game that it is quite amazing. Like, it's like an iceberg situation kind of thing, right? On the surface and above, you see the iceberg that you know and love, but below it is a whole other monstrosity. That's what I felt when I saw that video and what I discovered on my second playthrough, right? Because on my second playthrough, which I am still in, I'm taking it very, very slow because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to discern the story for myself. And then I ran into Vatividia's video, which amazing video, by the way. It shined a lot of light into my doubts and shined a lot of knowledge into my brain hole. But again, I am not giving credit to From Software for pathetically telling the story like they told it. This is all an external source that enlightened me on the story. And it is such a goddamn shame that they stuck to their mysterious tradition of making everything so vague that it is a pain to really, piece together stuff from it. They could have, it could have been, well, a 9 out of 10 for me if they told the story better, if they explained things better and made more sense. Again, they don't have to blur out every single mystery and every single happening of the whole game. No, I like the mystery so I can find for myself, but in this case they left a lot I mean a lot of mystery that was supposed to be essential to the story and how you begin, how the Elden Ring was shattered, who the hell is Marika, why is Marika Radagon, all of this stuff. It could have been explained in the game better instead of being so goddamn transparent. So yeah, I wanted to separate those two things. Updating my review. How they told the story was a negative, but how much story and lore there is in the game, that is overwhelmingly positive in my opinion. But again, since they did not tell the story to the point that it would make sense and to the point where it engages the player into the story and the lore of it, it kept me disconnected from Elden Ring's story throughout the entire goddamn campaign, and I still have no motivation to it. Now I know that, okay, the order which was given, is basically like the universe's law. Let's I'm not gonna say laws of physics, because yes, it is universal, again, relative to the whole universe, but it's just a piece of everything. Let's say in the real world, in this world, let's just imagine if God had I don't know, like an orb. Let's just make it simple, a ring, essentially, like Elden Ring, that housed life, death, rebirth, and all that stuff, right? Thinking, intelligence, free will, metamorphosis, evolution, or whatever. It's a ring that contains every single thing ever in the universe, right? And then God gave that ring to someone worthy of expanding its territory or something like that. Now I'm confusing people. Okay, let's go back to Elden Ring, right? The greater will, God of, I don't know, maybe there's many multiple gods aside from the greater will. So essentially, the greater will is God. He made envoys known as the two fingers to, spread its influence over the lands between, but gave the Elden Ring to Marika. Marika wanted to destroy the Elden Ring while Radagon wanted to repair it. Therefore, Radagon didn't succeed. It still shattered the Elden Ring, but it was all according to Marika's plan. And you know, the Golden Order uh, began to take place in the world, in the lands between. There was no death, like the Tarnished, like you die a whole bunch of times and then you keep reviving. That's because the rune, the law of death, was removed from the Elden Ring. And the Elden Ring is like I said, the law of the whole universe. Like everything that exists in the lands between is because of those laws that are in the Elden Ring. And Queen Marika just plucked the rune of death, gave it to Maliketh. Now she has complete power to kill. But then Rani took away a fragment from Maliketh's rune of death and murdered Godwyn. Yes, Godwyn, I think, who was the child of Marika. The god lineage, all those confusing names, right? Still confusing as fuck. So, yeah, and that's where you come in, the Tarnished, who is a descendant of, I forgot his name, Godfrey. Yes, Godfrey, who is also Horalu for some reason. They're the one and the same. Horalu was the first Elden Lord, had kids with Marika, turned into Godfrey. And then Marika and Godfrey had Godwyn, which he was murdered by Rani and the Black Knives and all that stuff. Yeah, the story is complicated, and it is such a missed opportunity for From Software that they didn't implement a better way into explaining the whole story to the character. I mean, not the whole story to the character, to the essential parts of the story to the players. And they failed at that. So, yes, I am still standing on my the way they explain the story is a negative, but the positive that I would update into my review is that there's a lot of lore in it, and there's a lot to grasp if you delve into it, or if you just watch another person that has delved into it and then you understand better. So I am not giving From Software another point in my review. It's still an 8 out of 10 game in my opinion, because it still has a lot of things wrong, like the NPC's deaths, the stuttering, the lag, the crashes, the vagueness of how the story is told, the co-op feature being so restrictive, all that stuff, right? It still has a lot of bad that I said on my review, but it is still an amazing game, in my opinion. It's still 8 out of 10. This revelation that I just got from watching that video, didn't really make me give From Software a point, because that is another person's doing. It is not From Software's doing that it made me understand the story better. And when you play a game, one of the things that interests me a lot while I'm playing a game is the story. If I'm not attached to the story, if I don't have some sense into why I should do this, or why even care about doing this, or why care about that specific character, if I'm not gonna get anything, any information out of anyone, then why should I be invested in the story altogether? And that was my problem that I had, on my first playthrough, and on the a little less on my second playthrough, because, like I said, I'm taking the game slow on my second playthrough and trying to read every single freaking thing there is in the game, which is taking me a lot of time. Looking at the environments and all that also slows down my time. So, but I'm still having a lot of fun in the game. Um, I bet there's a lot of things that even Vatividia hasn't discovered, but still, yeah, I just wanted to correct myself on that. You know, I think I was a little bit too harsh on the story without understanding the story behind of what, everything behind the criticism of the story that I just said on my video. But that was not my fault. It was the From Software made me think that it was the way that I thought it was, especially on my first playthrough. Like I said, I didn't wait like 7 days or a month to make my review. No, when I finished the game, which would be from now, would be about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. So yeah, probably 2 weeks. Yeah, maybe 2.5 or something like that. So yeah, even on my first playthrough, they didn't even give me any motivation. They didn't even give me enough information for me to care about the story. So, but I do recognize that there is a lot in this game. There is a lot of lore. There is a lot of story to work with. There is a lot of background to these characters that I didn't even think about. So, yeah. Okay. This has just been 30 minutes of my rambling. I still recommend the game for anyone to buy. Sure, like I said on my review, you will still have hardships. If you're a new player on it, you still would be frustrated by dying a lot, but the gameplay, exploration, and discovery, those are the 3 things that make this game an 8 out of 10, among other things, yes. But if it had a better story, it would be a 9 out of 10. If it stopped crashing and stuttering and sticky button input lag and all that stuff, then it would be a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. But I still stand by my score that I gave it before. 8 out of 10. It's still an amazing game. Still recommend it. Anyways. Yeah. this has been 30 minutes of my nonsensical rambling. And yeah, if you are interested about the lore, about the story of Elden Ring, then go watch Vatividia's video, because that is how I understood the story. Not by the game, but by him. So yeah. Thank you everybody so much for watching this video. I've got a whole playlist of Elden Ring. I don't know where I am right now on the let's see. I'm on 16, no, 17, part 17. I just released Renala, you know, beating her, and there's still 50 and like 38 more videos to go, more episodes or something like that. I don't remember anymore. But yeah, I wholeheartedly recommend Elden Ring. Ugh, don't mind that. And yeah, I hope that some of you who were probably irked about what I said about the story now we find some common ground in it, because I was, you know, on top of being in a hurry to release the review, the From Software didn't even care to explain to me the story in the first place. So why should I care about, you know, saying good things about it if it did nothing for me? So, but now I want to correct myself in this video. Amazing, deep lore, but the way it was delivered was vague, meager, minimal. So, yeah. Anyways, have a whole playlist of Elden Ring if you want to watch. And I hope to see you on my next videos.